Hey now, everybody, it's the Rob from 106.1 KISS FM. Here in singles competition by myself without any tag team partner, if you will. So I thought today was going to be back to a normal routine for both myself and my tag team partner, Jerry Valeri. I reached out to him last night just to kind of make sure we would both be back on schedule today. I thought he was back this week. Turns out he's still got another week to himself. So next week, for sure, we should be back, I think, on a more normal routine. And then I figured, well, certainly I could get someone else here in the studio to maybe jump in and grab a spot with me. Like Travis is usually my first choice to talk to about wrestling here in the building. And I saw an email from him saying that he's randomly taking today off. So I was like, maybe this is a sign that I should just wait until next week to get things started with post to post again. But you know what I said? You know what? There's so much stuff that I could talk about. Not positive I need someone else to do this. I prefer having someone to tag in. Jerry's my first choice. But we can make this happen. There's a lot to talk about because we've been off for so long. I mean, the posties feel like 6 months ago. Which, by the way, I love that episode. And even if you haven't gotten a chance to get around to watching it yet, let me fix my shot here. Boy, just that opening number that Jerry delivers dressed up like a dancing lemon. I must have watched that part of the video 7 times. It's just so funny to me that that's why I miss the guy. That's why I hate flying solo, because he over delivers in that department. So, Jerry, if you're watching that video of you singing the theme song that she wrote and performed at the top of the posties in our last episode, that made my heart sing. Thank you, buddy. So welcome to 2018. We haven't done an episode in almost a month, and there's so much to talk about. And I want to get things started in a place that you guys might not be expecting. I want to start by talking about NXT, if you don't mind. So here's what I'm thinking with this episode. There was a whole holiday schedule of stuff that's happened in WWE on television since the last time we spoke. There's been a pay-per-view, Clash of Champions. I got a chance to watch NXT TakeOver Houston, the War Games show. I got a chance to watch everything that was on the WWE Week on USA, which includes a Raw, a SmackDown, the NXT USA television debut on Wednesday, as well as Tribute to the Troops on Thursday, followed by a pay-per-view that Sunday, which is Clash of Champions. So we'll get to all that. And then I also watched Raw last night, which we can cover as well, though I'll probably cover that more in detail with Travis if he accepts my invitation to come on the show tomorrow. Let's start with NXT TakeOver, which is something people have been stressing to me over and over and over to watch. This is the War Games pay-per-view, if you want to call it that, or the TakeOver special. I guess is probably a better word to call it. And I liked it. I thought that the show was really good. My favorite match might surprise people. It actually was not the War Games. And I don't want to, while I will critique the War Games match, which I'm assuming a lot of you guys have probably seen, my favorite match on the show was probably the Velveteen Dream and Aleister Black match, as that was, I just like the story that they told. What was my problem with the War Games match? Well, it's certainly been well reviewed. A lot of people, I think Dave Meltzer gave it 4.5 stars. A lot of people here at the office came up telling me I needed to watch it. Jerry Valeri told me I needed to watch it. And it was a great match. I don't want anyone to get me wrong when I'm a little cold in my review on it. I don't know. Something about it just didn't work for me. I loved the 2 rings. Did not love the open cage. I love that there were so many people involved. There were 9 of them. There were 3 teams of 3. I would have rather had 2 teams of 4, personally. And I'm not even like a traditionalist when it comes to War Games. I don't love War Games. I liked it well enough. You know, once a year, I thought it was okay, especially if the storyline dictated. they always missed a little something with me, and the one at NXT was a little was more of the same, to be honest with you. What I guess I thought it was really spotty. And there were several times where I just had psychological misfires when it comes to what I was seeing in the match. People doing things that in real life you wouldn't do, or spots that you just would never happen if wrestling were real, which is like, I guess that's a lot of my problem with whether it be independent wrestling, or maybe it's just post-millennial wrestling, or, you know, young wrestlers, up and coming guys. They just have this psychological disconnect with me in that they don't really care if what they're presenting feels real to me. And I wanted to at least have the impression. Listen, everyone, we all know it's fake. I get that. But even with like acting on whatever TV show or movie you watch, yeah, we know Daniel Day-Lewis isn't Abraham Lincoln, but when you're watching it, you kind of want to believe it. And, you know, same with Tom Hanks. You know, one of my favorite acting roles is him as Forrest Gump, or look at Heath Ledger as the Joker in The Dark Knight. I want to forget that it's Tom Hanks. I want to forget that it's Heath Ledger. And I just want them to become the Joker, just become Forrest Gump. And with those performances, those things happen to me. At some point early in Forrest Gump, I stopped seeing Tom Hanks and I just stopped seeing Forrest Gump. That's because they're doing a good job. And I feel like to do a good job in wrestling, you need to present it as if it were real. And I just feel like that's going out the window anymore, and that's driving me crazy. And I got that all throughout the War Games match. I also thought the women did a really good job. The NXT women division and women's wrestling in general is obviously at a real strong point right now, and I wouldn't mind seeing but that Peyton Royce, I'm almost positive that's what I'm talking about. She is a looker. Holy cow. I hope she gets called up sometime soon, or at least we see her in the Women's Royal Rumble in a few weeks. Time will tell. So, my favorite match of that particular show was Velveteen Dream and Aleister Black. I knew nothing of this feud, really of any of the feuds going into the pay-per-view. And they caught me up well enough on the show that I felt invested into what was going on with those two people. It was less convoluted than the War Games, and that I had an easier time following the storylines as to why these two are fighting, what the Velveteen Dreams hope story. He just wanted to get Aleister Black to say his name. Okay, it worked for me. And they found a way to make them both win, because Aleister Black got the win and he said Velveteen Dream's name. I thought just, hey, you know what? That was just well done. I liked the story being told in that match. And that can wrap things up for War Games, the Takeover special. But I also want to mention, I thought it was really refreshing and cool and different to see NXT on cable television on USA that Wednesday night of WWE week. It was jammed inside of a whole lot of wrestling. I mean, if you wanted to be a wrestling fan that week, holy cow, you had Monday 3+ hours of Raw. You had 2 hours of SmackDown. You had 1 hour of NXT on USA. You had 2 hours of Tribute to the Troops on Thursday. And then you had a pay-per-view, Clash of the Champions, on Sunday. Guys, when do we submit? Holy cow, it's just so much. Now, admittedly, I was on vacation that week, so it was a little less intimidating to watch it all. But man, that was just ridiculous. And then after that's all done, you had that pay-per-view on Sunday. That's 3+ hours. If it's 4, if you watch the pre-show, then you got 3+ more hours of Raw the next night, followed by 2 more hours of SmackDown on Thursday. Holy cow, guys. I just don't know. I don't know when you want me to live my life outside of wrestling. I just don't. How do you expect me to make the money to keep paying for the WWE Network? Holy guacamole. So the point is, though, I really liked the show on USA. I think they did a good job of choosing what to expose. I think that Andrade Cien Almas is a really good choice as champion in NXT. I think that Aleister Black, it might be my favorite part of the show right now. His look, his presentation, his entrance, he's fully developed. I feel like he might be ready to go, unless someone can tell me why he's not ready. It seems to me like he is. So there's that. And then there's Tribute to the Troops. And while I don't have a whole lot of good things to say about Tribute to the Troops, I do have a few nice things that I can cherry pick. So, for starters, when Tribute to the Troops got started in like 2002, I forget when it started, 2001 maybe, no later than 2003, it was kind of exciting. Even though the cards were never that great. I remember the first one had that amazing Guerrero Benoit match that I still remember being just fantastic. It was really cool seeing a show so different. It was outside. It was in Afghanistan of all places. It had a small crowd full of people in fatigues and camouflage. It was heartfelt. It was genuine, especially at the beginning. I felt like, we all know the story about how JBL kind of pitched it and Vince liked the idea, and it seemed like very warm and sincere at the beginning. And then for a few years they were still at least in Afghanistan. The performances kind of felt a little phoned in. There was no, like, after that first year, there was no must-see moment or match that people talked about really from a Tribute to the Troops show, but I would still watch it because, it was in Afghanistan. Like, you don't usually see such a unique setting for a wrestling show, especially from, WWE. And then it really kind of got put to the back burner in the years when it was just in an indoor, like, army base or whatever. Just kind of looked like a small venue. It had no special appeal. Nothing of consequence would happen. In fact, if you watch these shows, almost down the line, nearly 100% of the time, the baby faces go over. And it became really difficult for me to watch once I realized that formula of, the good guy always wins, bar none. And so that became a little annoying, but I would still watch. And, especially these past few years, they've been exceptionally brutal. This one, I will say at the very least, it was outside on the, I think it was on a boat. And even when the action was dull, which it was for most of the show, it was fun to just see them wrestle on a boat or outside. Like, you just don't see that stuff all the time anymore. And that made me happy. So I hope that they can, if we're not going to be actually overseas, which is fine. I get that we're not even really, we don't have as many troops overseas anymore, which is the first thing. So I'm sure it's very difficult to get the show overseas in general, but at least let's make it feel special. It's like outdoors, like that part worked for me. There was no, if you miss Tribute to the Troops, you literally missed nothing. You missed a bunch of baby faces winning. And that was all there was to it. There was no memorable moment, but just seeing, and kind of like that USS Intrepid way of 1993, like when Lex Luger body slammed Yokozuna, it was neat seeing that because they were outside. They were fighting on a boat. And maybe I'm just simplistic, but yeah, more boats, mother effer. Yeah, come out on a boat. You're over. Mother effer, extra cheese, extra mayo. Anyway, Clash of the Champions happened a few days after that. I think at this point, let's see. What was this? Like the 18th or something? Hold on. If Friday was the 15th, 16th. So the 17th of December would have been Clash of Champions. And the best way I can sum up Clash of the Champions, which I know I'm adding in an extra I'm trying not to, but we all know what it is. It happened. I feel like if you missed Clash of Champions, you missed nothing. You missed a title change to Dolph Ziggler. I think that was the only title change, or at least the only male title change, I guess. It's a long time. It's January 2nd now, so it's been a few weeks since I've watched Clash of Champions. And even when I did, I watched it a day late because I was traveling that day, and we never talked about it on Post to Post because we were off that week. So yeah, it was very inconsequential. I don't even know if I watched enough of it to give it a letter grade, but it would probably be the second worst grade I gave the pay-per-views last year. I think the worst grade I gave last year was a D+, or was it a D- to Battleground, which seems to just, I was surprised that it was so roundly regarded as the worst show last year. But yeah, I would say it was in that league of just, it was just hard to watch. And even AJ and Jinder, I thought, they did an okay job, but it was a great Jinder match, but not a great AJ match, in my opinion. So there was that. And yeah, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn predictably won. And yeah, we seem to be planting a seed for Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon over on SmackDown, but it seems probably unlikely that it will lead to a match. And even if it does, I'm not into Shane McMahon matches anymore. I'm sorry. I'm just not. So yeah, that's Clash of Champions. Raw was last night. I'll get into probably more detail, I'm thinking, with Raw tomorrow. Hopefully Travis will want to sit in and chat about wrestling with me here tomorrow before Jerry gets back next week. I want to get Jerry's thoughts on this too. I believe he'll probably feel the same way as me. But everyone was so excited that this broken Matt Hardy thing was finally going to happen. And I was excited too. I knew very little prior to the broken character and the woken character and what it actually meant for wrestling. I had seen the final deletion. I thought it was dumb. I know that was kind of like their masterpiece that was like the highlight of the broken gimmick or whatever. Guys, what am I missing with this woken, broken gimmick? All I'm seeing is he's weird and he's laughing like Bugs Bunny or Daffy Dunk or whichever character he's laughing like. Am I missing something? Because I swear I usually get stuff like this, but I'm not getting it. And it's frustrating me because everyone's so lit up about how excited they are that we can finally see broken Matt Hardy. And my understanding is he's kind of been given free reign to do what he wants, which is so rare. He's kind of allowed to write his own thing. Vince has faith in this and all this and that. And I'm like, cool, show me what you got. And all I see is, and this laughing, this machine gun laughing, and I'm over here like, I don't get it. I want to like it. What am I missing with this gimmick? Or is it not living up to what you guys wanted to? I know that there's people out there who've been real excited about this, who know more about broken Matt Hardy than I do. But guys, I'm dying for something to happen with this year. It's killing me. So there's that. We've got a U.S. title tournament on SmackDown. And I love tournaments. I think that longtime listeners of this show know that I'm a big fan of tournaments. I'm a proponent of them. They're missing one key thing, though, for this tournament to get me excited. Maybe you know where I'm going with this. Maybe you don't. And I'm willing to bet that tonight on SmackDown, they will remedy this for me. But if you're going to have a tournament and you want the Rod to be excited about it, you need to show me the brackets. I need a graphic. I need to see King of the Ring style what the matches are. And I'm willing to bet that once they started this tournament, they probably didn't have these brackets lined up. And I'm willing to bet that we'll see brackets tonight on SmackDown. But without brackets, I have no investment in a tournament. Please show me brackets. Please show me some sort of graphic that shows me. I don't even know how many people are in this thing. I want to know what the matches are. I want to be able to pick a winner. Help me out. You're killing me with this. You're killing me, Smalls. Give me a tournament bracket. Come on now. Hoping that the Dolph Ziggler thing will... I feel like they're going somewhere with this. Like I feel like Dolph will have some sort of retribution or some sort of impact on this tournament, especially once it's over. It didn't make a lot of sense for him to just win on Clash of Champions and then drop it 2 nights later. So I was a little confused about their rationale, but I bet you that there is a reason for that. So definitely looking for feedback on this episode. Sorry, I went by myself. I know that it's a little dry when it's just a one-man podcast. Hopefully, like I said, tomorrow and at least next week, we'll have Jerry back. So let me know. My big thing is, am I off base? One, on broken Matt Hardy, because broken Matt Hardy is going the way of the Finn Balor's. He's going the way of the Shinsuke Nakamura's to me, in that I want to like these things. Everyone tells me I'm supposed to like them. People whose opinions I traditionally respect about independent wrestling have told me these things are good. Am I missing something, or is it just not for me? And then, am I on my own by thinking that the War Games was a bit overrated? I mean, I could go as far as maybe 4 stars, but 4.5 I think was really gracious. A lot of people really, and I would not consider it a match of the year candidate. Really, I mean, maybe for NXT, maybe top 10. But when I talk about match of the year, I'm thinking like you can maybe name 5 matches that year. And I think that any of the matches that Jerry and I talked about on the posties were better than War Games. Jerry was saying on a personal phone call to me that he wanted to include the War Games as one of his contenders, not for match, not as the match that wins, but as one of the nominees for match of the year for him. But he knew I hadn't seen it, and he thought that it was just gonna be main roster stuff. But I don't think it's in the same conversation with me, as far as I'm concerned, as matches like AJ Styles and John Cena, or Lesnar and Styles, or the SummerSlam 4-way match. It just missed that mark for me. Let me know that I'm wrong, though. Leave me a comment below, and I'll sign off for now. And like I said, tomorrow, hopefully I'll have, if I don't have Travis in here, I'll give you some sort of more focused review on this week, whether it be Raw and SmackDown or what have you. So for myself, thanks for bearing with me today. We'll get things back on track next week, I promise you. Like I said, leave me your feedback in the comments below. I'll catch you guys tomorrow here on Post to Post.